I'm Shelley Farnham and I'm the founder of Complex Connections. We're a community interest company that work with families of children who are ADHD, autistic, diagnosed, undiagnosed, or just exploring the possibility. Our aim is always to support families, to empower them, to give parents confidence, to help their children to thrive. This month, we're going to talk about happy hormones and how we can harness these to help our children to feel happier. Now, obviously, as parents, one of our greatest aims is to help our children to feel happy. That doesn't mean happy all of the time. What we have to bear in mind is having happy hormones in our system is not designed to be a 24/7 thing. We will have periods where we don't have those happy hormones in our body, but if we can give our child ways to get those hormones into their body each and every day, that is going to help them to have those feelings of happiness and to feel more regulated. And I think as we go through all of this, remember that we as parents need these happy hormones too. We need them for our regulation because we know when we feel regulated, we are much more able to help our child to feel regulated. Listening to music is one way that we can get a dopamine hit. So let's talk about dopamine. That's the first of the 4 happy hormones. Dopamine is the happy hormone that we get when we achieve something, when we have that feeling of success. And this is what we want to be able to give our child, that feeling of success. So even in small things, in setting small goals for them, for a young child, can you help me tidy the toys away? Maybe for an older child, can you make your bed? It may be things that they need support with. It may be something like, can you help me plan a day out? Because we get that reward, we get that dopamine even in the planning stages. It's not only when we reach the end and we achieve the goal, but it's also in the build up to that. So can you help me plan a day out? Let's write a list of what we need. Let's talk about who we need to let know about this day out, how we're going to get there, etc., etc. All that planning, all that executing, and then that reflection on that all leads to those hits of dopamine, which is exactly what we want. The creation of dopamine creates neural pathways. So we want our children's brain to associate and to be able to create those healthy habits around dopamine. We have to be really careful because we can get dopamine from eating chocolates, but we get a spike and then we get a crash. And obviously it's not the best healthy habit to have around the production of dopamine. Gaming is another one. We can get a really big surge of dopamine and then a crash. We want to help our child's brain to associate achievement and reward with things that are healthier for their body and their brain. Not to say that they can't get those dopamine hits in those ways sometimes, but we have to be careful that we don't reinforce those pathways to the degree that they need more and more and more of them in order to get that hit. Dopamine can also be associated with, I need more of something, I need it to be more of a risk or a bigger amount or more time on something in order to get the same amount of dopamine. So we have to be really careful that we're setting up those sustainable habits. The second happy hormone that we're going to be looking at is serotonin, and we get serotonin by moving our body. Serotonin is the mood stabilizing hormone, and we get serotonin when we feel somebody is proud of us or we are proud of ourselves, when we feel valued, when we feel recognized for something. And the great thing about serotonin is it's also a bonding hormone because the giver of the compliment or the I am proud of you statement gets a boost of serotonin at the same time. So there's research being done about when parents feel proud of their children receiving an award or achieving something, the parent gets a boost of serotonin and so does the child. So it's an amazing bonding hormone. Many of our children find it quite difficult to receive compliments or to be recognized for something that they've done well. As adults, we often have a tendency to do exactly the same thing. We bat away a compliment. If we can reframe that and think about we are getting a boost of serotonin, the person who gives us the compliment gets a boost of serotonin, maybe that will help us to accept it a little bit more easily. For our child, if we can give them that recognition in a passing comment or in a downplayed kind of way, we know that that will boost their serotonin and it boosts ours at the same time as well. The third happy hormone is oxytocin. This is also called the snuggle hormone, and it's all about love and connection. So oxytocin is all about belonging in a group, feeling that we are accepted by people, being around people that we love. It's all about love and connection. We get oxytocin when we hug people, when we feel physical touch from other people, when we are able to touch our pets and stroke them, when we hold a baby, anything to do with love and connection, that gives our child's body oxytocin. So the more that we are able to touch our child's body, give them a hug, give them a pat on the shoulder, even just a touch on the arm or holding their hand, all of that produces oxytocin. If you have a pet in your home and your child feels comfortable stroking them, patting them, being with them, this is how animals can have such a regulating effect for our children. Social media can be a challenging one because we often feel like we are very connected to people on social media. We can have that feeling of connection to a degree, but that physical, in-person touch and hugs are much better for the production of oxytocin. The fourth happy hormone is endorphins, and we get endorphins by being outside ideally and walking, running, cycling, anything that moves our body. Endorphins work as the painkillers of our body. So you know when you see a runner who has run a marathon, they must be in extreme pain, and yet they are able to see it through, they're able to get to that finish line, and they get there with that feeling of euphoria. Their body is filled with endorphins at that moment in time. If an animal is injured, that animal's body will produce enough endorphins to mask the pain so that that animal can get to a safe place. And that is exactly how endorphins work in our bodies as well. Our bodies create endorphins by eating spicy food, having physical movement, eating dark chocolate, and also by laughing. And this is a brilliant one. This is what we can create lots of opportunities for our child to do. That good belly laugh, maybe some tickling if they're up for that. Anything that gets that laughing going. Here's a great opportunity of how we can bring in an activity that will produce more than one hormone for our child, because when we're tickling them or we're doing something physical with them which is creating that laughter, they're getting those endorphins, but they're also getting that lovely oxytocin, that bonding hormone, that snuggle hormone. A great way to get those happy hormones flowing through their body. We know that a poor diet, lack of sleep, stress, anxiety, all of those things can interrupt the production of happy hormones, but let's not get too hung up on that. Let's work with what we've got and work where we are right now. If we are able to help our children to engage in activities that produce multiple happy hormones in one go, all the better. One thing I want us to think about is tying the production of happy hormones into our nervous system, because nothing works on its own. Everything in our body is interlinked. We know that we can't make good choices, we can't think clearly when our nervous system is in a state of defense. So if we think of our child learning to self-regulate, and we think of ourselves helping our child to regulate, that co-regulation, both of us need to be in that state of being able to think clearly, being able to make choices in order to create opportunities for these happy hormones to be produced. What I would suggest is that you have some kind of visual around your house which enables your child to make a choice and you to make a choice, even in those moments where we may not feel particularly regulated. If we can tell that things are becoming a bit unsettled in the home, if we have something visual that our child can make a choice from, we can literally just show them. It takes away some of that thinking stress, and it means that they can just make a choice of doing something which is going to create the opportunity for those hormones to be produced, which contributes to regulation, their regulation, our regulation, and there we have that bit of harmony that we can create. When we're thinking about these, let's think small. Let's not think of these big, overwhelming things that we have to do, but what tiny tweaks, what small changes can we bring about that are going to create more harmony in our home. I hope this has helped you. I hope it's given you some ideas for ways that you can get those happy hormones flowing in your home for you and for your child, and create that harmony and connection in your family. For that, a visual memory or a start to you having those conversations and thinking about these things in your family, you can download our free resource at the link below, and I will see you again soon.